So I'm convinced that everyone at some point in their life has wondered this thought. The Spice Girls, the iconic best-selling girl group of all time, made up of 5 women who revolutionized the term girl power in the late 90s. Anyone who says they've never wanted to be a Spice Girl is either lying or hasn't seen their truth yet. The first questions that might come to mind in this are, am I too old to join a girl band? Is now the best time for a girl band? And how would I even get started on that? Well, I had the time, so I gathered some data and I'd like to show you what I found. Let's start with the project setup. In information science, we talk about the concepts of data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. Data being the measurable units, information being the pattern we can derive from that data, and the knowledge and wisdom combined here to use that information to better our lives. Before we dive into specifics though, let's talk about broadening the data, because as much as we want to be Spice Girls, the Spice Girls are currently in their reunion phase, with one maybe coming up in 2023 and their last real one being in 2021. To best set ourselves up for success, it's smart to collect data on a variety of girl bands spanning over the years, from the 50s all the way till now. Let's talk about the data. On a Google Sheet, I collected around 40 girl bands. I collected their name, their origin, their genre, number of members, start age of the members, and how they formed, along with some other categories. The information came from a variety of sources. Along with the data comes some caveats. So this includes my personal bias and also the limits of what we were looking for with this data. My personal bias including that I am American and I grew up in the 90s, and a limitation being only counting the number of members when the group was most well known. So we're not talking about the possibility of going solo or one of my other favorite topics, which is why the group broke up. Now let's talk about what we found with the data, with the information, by revisiting the questions we had. So the first question was, what is the best age to start? And what we found was an average of about 4 members with a minimum age of 12 and a maximum age of 29, which leaves us with an average of about 19 years old. We have bands that started really young, as well as bands that started later on in life. Another question being, are girl bands still a thing? When we plot the data, we see a popularity of girl groups in the 90s and the 2000s, and that number is still on the rise due to the new popularity of K-pop groups such as Blackpink and Twice. So how did most of these bands form? Plotting the dots again, we can see the highest number of them were either put together by an agency or they went to some kind of audition. An agency like one of the popular South Korean ones that train their groups, or a company like Disney. An audition like on a reality TV show like The X Factor, or like the Spice Girls that answered a newspaper ad. Another interesting category was the family category. Bands like Wilson Phillips are sisters, and they are also the children of famous people. Another interesting category was the category of they started as friends, like Salt and Peppa, who met each other at community college while they were studying nursing. So what have we learned with this data? What we found is the most common bands came from the US, the UK, and South Korea. The average is about 19 years old, 4 members usually works the best, and the best way of starting is either to be recruited by an agency or to go to an audition. But most importantly, let me leave you with this quote. Thank you.